Hi everyone, in this video we will discuss the solution of all the questions of chapter recursion of chapter 6 from the practical book of class 12. Now consider the following function num underscore vowels which takes a string s of lowercase letters and returns the number of vowels in the string. Fill the missing functionality. You can see the program over here. There is a recursive function defined over here having name num underscore vowels which is taking a string. Then within the function, it is checking if s equal to empty string. That means there is no character in the string. Then return 0. That is actually the base case of the function. That means when the string becomes empty, you have to return 0. Otherwise, you have to take another variable num in rest, which is assigned with value num vowels with the parameter s1 colon. That means num vowels function is called over here in the else part. And here the string which is passed, you can see here is within square bracket 1 colon. That means the string where the first character is not there. That means in starting from index number 1 till the end of the string, all the characters will be there in the string except the first character. So that string will be passed as the argument in the recursive call. And the result is stored in a variable num underscore in underscore rest. Now, if s of 0 in AEIOU, that means the first character of the string, if it is a vowel, then it has to return 1 plus num in rest. Otherwise, it has to return 0 plus num in rest. That means if the first character is a vowel, then it has to return 1 and then num in rest is actually storing the return value of the recursive function num underscore vowels, where the string is actually the string excluding the first character. So like this it will continue till the number of characters are there existed in the string. Finally, when the string becomes empty, then it has to return 0. That means the base case is satisfied. Now we'll see how to do this. Actually, these are the two steps which are missing in this code, which are highlighted in blue color. Then after that, you have to call the function num underscore vowels in the main part of the program. And here I have passed a string as recur, and the returned value is stored in a variable v. Now can print the number of vowels are v. Now let's see. Now we'll see how this function num underscore vowels is working. So first of all, num underscore vowels will be called with a string, and here the string value is recur, recur. Now when this one will be called, it will check whether the string is empty or not. Now this since the string is not empty, then it will go to the else part and it will calculate what is num in rest. Num in rest is equal to num underscore vowels, and here the string becomes ECUR. That means the first character of the string is excluded. Now that particular character, this is the first character, that means S of 0, the character which is present at the index number 0 of the string recur, that is R. It will check whether R is a vowel or not. Since it is not a vowel, so it has to return 0 plus num in rest. Now your num in rest is equal to num underscore vowels with the value CUR, excluding the first character of the previous string, that is E. Now that one will be checked. It will check whether E is a vowel or not. And yes, E is a vowel, so it will return 1 plus num in rest. Now your num in rest equal to, that means num vowels will be called again with the value UR. Now it will be called with the value UR and it will check with whether C is a vowel or not, because C was present at the index number 0 of the previous string. Now since C is not a vowel, so it will return 0 plus num in rest. Now here num in rest is equal to num underscore vowels will be called with the value R. Now it will check for the previous character, first character of the string, that is U. We'll check whether U is a vowel or not. Yes, it is a vowel, so it will return 1. So 1 plus num in rest. Now your num in rest will have the value when it is called with num underscore vowels with a empty string. Now it will check for R whether it is a vowel or not. Since it is not a vowel, so it will return 0 plus num in rest. Now your num in rest is the returned value of the function num underscore vowels with an empty string. So here, since it is meeting the best conditions, it will return 0. Now your function execution stops over there. So you can see the final return value is 0 plus 1 plus 0 plus 1 plus 0 plus 0. That will give you 2. So there are two vowel characters present in this string, RECUR. Now consider the recursive function mist, which takes two integer parameters. Now trace the execution of the function call. Now you can see the function is defined like this. It's having two parameters a and b, and the base case is like this. If a is greater than or equal to b, then it has to return b. Else this function is called over here. You can see the recursive call here, and where your a becomes a into 2 and b becomes b floor division 2. And this function is called in the else part recursively, and its returned value is stored in a variable mist underscore r. Now again it has to return a plus mist underscore r. Now this function is called in the main part having values 1 and 32, and this function is called within the print statement so that the returned value has to be printed, and you can see the return value. Now once you run the program, you will get the output as 11. Now see how it is giving this value. Now we will just trace the code. Now we will trace the execution of this recursive function mist with a value 1 and 32. This is the first call where the parameters are 1 and 32. Now here a value is 1 and b value is 32, and mist underscore r is equal to mist of 2 comma 16. Now this time your a becomes a into 2, that is 2, and b is equal to b divided by 2, that is 16. So you will, that means mist function will be called with the value 2 and 16, and it will return 1 plus mist function is called with the value 2 and 16. Now just focus on this part, this program part. Don't focus on these numbers. We will go to it later. Now once it is returning 1 plus mist of 2 comma 16. So mist function will be called with a value 2 and 16. This is the next recursive call. Here in this call, your a value is 2 and b value is 16. So your mist underscore r will be mist of 4 and 8. A becomes 2 into 2, 4, and b becomes 16 by 2, that is 8. So it will return 2 plus mist of 4 comma 8, because it has to return a plus mist of a comma b. So your a value is 2 now, so it will return 2 plus mist function is again called with the value 4 and 8. So you can see mist function when it is called with the value 4 and 8, again one more recursive call. Here your a becomes 4 and b is 8. So mist underscore r will be mist of 8 and 4. So it will return 4 plus mist of 8 plus 8 comma 4. So 4 is the value of a. It has to return a plus mist of a comma b. So like this. Now your mist of 8 and 4 will be called in the next recursive call. And here in this case your a value is 8 and b value is 4. So this will return 4 as base case is satisfied. It will return b. Why? Because now your a is greater than b. So it will return b. So this is your base case. So it has to return 4. Now you just move upward. You can see over here the final value which is returned. That means which is satisfying the base condition. This is returning the value 4. Okay. Now if you just check this value which is returned, that will go to this place. Okay. So this value becomes 4, and here it was 4. So 4 and this 4, that is giving you the value 8. Okay. So this 8 is returned by this function. mixed of 4 and 8. You can see this is the function which is returning this value, and this value will go to here. You can see. So this is having value 8. Now here 8 and this value is 2. So 8 plus 2 will give you 10. Now this 10 is returned by this call when you are calling missed function with the value 2 and 16. So this is the returned value is 10. So this value will go to this place. Okay. So 10 and this value is 1. So 10 plus 1 is giving you the value 11. So your final value, you can see the final value is 11. Now consider the recursive function that returns the number of consonants in a string S passed as parameter. Now debug the code. You can see the function is like this, num underscore consonants with a value S. S is the string. Now the base case condition is like this. If S equal to null, that means no string, no value is there, empty string, then it has to return 0. Otherwise, it has to return like num underscore consonants is called with a string s of 1 colon. That means in this recursive call, your string becomes s of 1 colon. That means the string value will be excluding the first character. The first character of the string will be excluded and your string becomes from index number 1 till the end of the string. And that function is called and the value is stored, the returned value is stored in a variable num in rest. Now, if s of 0, that means the first character of the string, is not in A, I, O, U, that means that is a consonant. That is not a vowel, that means that is a consonant. If the first character is a consonant, then it has to return num in rest plus 1. That means num in rest is the returned value of the recursive call. That one added with plus 1. That means a consonant value will be increased by 1. Else return num in rest. That means if s of 0, that means the first character is not a consonant, that means it's a vowel, then just return the return value of the recursive call. Okay, that's it. Now we have to just call this function num underscore consonants, and here I have passed the string as Python, and it is called within a print statement so that it will display the output. Now, once you run the program, you'll get the output as 5. There are 5 consonant letters in the string Python. Now we'll check the codes and we'll trace it. Now we'll check how this function num underscore consonants this work recursively. And here you can see the string passed is Python. So since this is not an empty string, so it will go to the else part and your num in rest will value num underscore consonants called with the string ython. Here your string becomes s of 1 till the end of the string. That means it will exclude the first character and the rest of the characters are ython. So it will check whether the first character is a consonant or not. Yes, it is a consonant, so it will return num in rest plus 1. Now your num in rest is equal to num underscore consonants called with the value thon. Now it will check y whether it is a consonant or not. Yes, it is a consonant, so it will return num in rest plus 1. Now your num in rest equal to num underscore consonants called with HON. Now it will check the value t, which is the first value of the string thon. So t is a consonant, so again it will return num in rest plus 1. Now your num in rest becomes num underscore consonants, the recursive function called with a value on. Now it will check for h, since h is a consonant, so it will return num in rest plus 1. Now your num in rest is num underscore consonants called with a value n. And it will check o whether o is a consonant or not. Since o is not a consonant, so it will just return num in rest. That means, as you know, if s of 0 is a vowel, actually it's not a consonant, so um, it has to return simply num in rest. So it will return that one. So now your num in rest is equal to num underscore consonants called with an empty string. Now it will check for n. Since n is a consonant, so it will return num in rest plus 1. And your num underscore consonant, since it was called with an empty string, so it will return a 0 value. That is the base case condition is satisfied, and your function execution will stop over there. We can see the final return value is 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, then plus 1 plus 0. That will be 5. Now write a recursive function that prints a geometric progression with first term a, common ratio r, and with n terms as a, ar, ar square, ar cube, like this till ar to the power n minus 1. And you have to input arn in the main part. So you can see this recursive function can be like this. Suppose the function name is gp and it is having the arguments a, r, and n. First of all, you have to give the first term, then r is that common ratio, then n is the number of times it has to print the series. Now, you can give the base case like this. If n equal to 0, then return. That means it will come out of the function. Function will exit over there. If n value becomes 0. Otherwise, it has to print a. And a comma end with a space, that means the next numbers in the series will come in the same line. Control will not move to the second line. So it has to print a. And you can see the recursive call is like this. In the recursive call is having the values a into r, then r and n minus 1. That means a is replaced by a into r and r is as it is and n is replaced by n minus 1. So you can see, so how it will be, the first number that is in the series, that is a. The next term is a into r. So your a into r becomes a. Okay, so it will print the next value as a, which is nothing but a into r. And the next value becomes a into r, like this. So your previous a value was a into r, and in the next call it will print a into r into r. So like that it will print ar square. Like this it will go on printing until your n becomes 0. So you can see here the function is called in the main part of the program and the values are 2, 2 and 7. A value is 2, R value is 2 and number of terms is 7. So that means first value it will print as 2, next value is 2 into 2, 4, next value is 4 into 2, 8. Like this it will continue. So we'll see how it is. You can see the output is like this: 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64 and 128. We wanted 7 terms, so it has printed 7 terms. Now we'll see the execution of this function. I can see the code tracing is like this. The series is like this: A, then A into R, then A into R into R. Like this it is going on. So your first term will be A and the next subsequent terms will be the product of previous term and the common ratio R. You can see here. First term is A and next term is previous term into R, that is A into R. Then the next term is previous term again into R, that is A into R into R. So like this, this is the principle that you have to implement in this recursive function. So first of all, we will call the function gp with the values 2, 2, 7, where a is 2, r is 2 and n is 7. So first of all, it will print 2 because we have given in the else part, it has to print a. Then the function gp will be called with the values 4, 2 and 6. So this is the recursive call. Here your a becomes a into r, that is 2 into 2, 4. Then r is 2 as it is. Now n becomes n minus 1, that is 6. So your first recursive call is like this. So it will print, it will call GP with the values 4, 2 and 6. Now this value will print the value of A. So here A value is 4. So it will print 4 over here. So here it is printing 4, and it will call the GP function. Again, the next recursive call is like this. GP will be having values 8, 2 and 5. Why? Because your A becomes A into 2. Previous value of A was 4 and R value is 2, which is fixed. So 4 into 2, this is 8, and N becomes N minus 1, which is now 5. Okay, so now it will print when this function is called, this recursive call, then it has to print A. Now your A value is 8, so it will print 8. Now the next recursive call is like this. GP function will be called with the value 16, 2 and 4. 16 is the value of A, that means your A becomes A into 2, 8 into 2, that is 16, and N becomes N minus 1, that is 5 minus 1, 4. Now this call will give you this value as 16 because it has to print the value of A. So it will print again 16. Now GP will be called with A into R, that is 32, R is 2 and N minus 1 is 3 now. Now this recursive call, that means GP with the values 32, 2 and 3, when this is called, it will print the value of A as 32 because now your A value is 32. Now again after that, the function GP will be called recursively. This time the values are 64, 2 and 2. 64 is the value of A into R. Previous A was 32, so 32 into R, that is 64. R value is 2 and N becomes 2. Now when this function is called, this recursive function is called, it will give you the output as 64. It will print 64, okay, because your A value is 64. Now your GP will be called with the values 128, 2 and 1. 128 becomes, that means 64 into 2. That means the previous value of A was 64 and that will be multiplied with R. R value is 2, so 64 into 2, 128, and R value is 2 and N becomes 1. So when this one is called, it will give you it will print 128 because A value is 128 now. Now next time your GP will be called with the values 256, 2 and 0. A becomes 256 and R is 2 and N becomes 0 now. Now it will satisfy the base case, that means when N will become 0, it has to return, that means the function execution will stop over there. So now it will print all these values. So you can run the program. Once you run it, then you can get the values as 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, then 64, then 128. Now write a recursive function that calculates the sum of the GP and obtain ARN in the main part. The same program with little bit modification. You have to define the recursive function GP with the values A, R and N. Now here the base case is like this. If N equal to 1, then it has to return A. That means if there is only one term, that means that is obviously that is the first term, that is A. So it has to return A. Otherwise, if N is more than 1, then it has to return A plus the recursive call of GP with the values A into R, then R and N minus 1. Here also A is replaced by A into R as we did previous program. Then N becomes N minus 1 in this recursive call. So what will happen? It will just add whatever is returned value of this function, that will be added with the value A. That means first term will be added with the recursive call of the same function. That means each time you call this function, it will again return A plus GP of A into R, R n minus 1. Like this will continue until your n becomes 1. So if you call the function GP with the values 2, 2 and 7, then it will print you, it will give you the output as 254. And you can see the how it is executing. Let's see. Now we'll see how this function is executing. This is the recursive function GP, and it is called with the values 2, 2 and 7. That means A is 2, R is 2 and N is 7. So it has to return, since N is not equal to 1, so it will go to the else part. It has to return A plus GP of A into R, then R and N minus 1. So it will return 2 plus GP of 4 to 6. Your A becomes 4. Why? Because 2 into R. The R value is also 2. A into R will give you 4. Then R value is 2 and N becomes 6. Now this function, that is GP with the values 4, 2 and 6, that is called, so that will return 4 plus GP of 8 to 5. Why? Because A value was 4, so it will return the value of A, that is 4, then plus GP of 8 to 5 will be called. Now when this function is called GP with the value 8, 2 and 5, then it will return 8 plus, then GP function is called with the value 16, 2 and 4. Because your A becomes 8 into 2, that is 16, and N becomes 5 minus 1, 4. This one will be called, then it will return 16 plus, again GP function is called with the values 32, 2 and 3. So this one will return 32, the A value is 32, then plus GP will be called with the value 64, 2 and 2. You can see every time the GP function is called recursively, the value of A becomes A into R, previous value of A into R, and R is a constant having value 2 and N value is decreasing at each recursive call, decreasing by 1. Then it will return 64 plus GP of 128, 2 and 1. GP function is called with these three values. Now here you can see when GP function is called with the values 128, 2 and 1. Now here it is meeting the base case. Your base case is when N equal to 1, then it has to return A. So it will just return the value 128. Okay, so all these values will be added. So you can just think of a recursive function is like that. One big box is there, and within that one more small box, and within that one more small box, like this. So every box you have to go on unfolding one by one, and finally what is there in the innermost box is just like the base case. So when your base case is satisfied, then from that point you have to go on calculating. The values will be calculated in a backward direction. So you can get the result as like this: 2 plus 4 plus 8 plus 16 plus 32 plus 64 plus 128, which will give you the final value as 254. Now write a recursive function in Python to determine number of digits of a positive integer by repeatedly dividing it by 10 until your number is less than 10. So you can see it. We have to define a function, let's say digits, which is taking n as its argument. And here, first of all, you have to give the base case condition is like this. If n is less than 10, that means if n is a single digit number, then it has to return 1. So this is your base case. Else it has to return 1 plus digits function will be called recursively with a value n floor division 10. So what will happen when you divide n with 10, your number will become, like if it is a 3-digit number, then it will give you a 2-digit value excluding the value which is at units place. Just like that. So next time your digits function will be called, it will be called with n floor division 10. Now again it will check if n is less than 10, it has to return 1, otherwise it will return 1 plus digits floor division n, digits n floor division 10. Now this function is called with the values, let's say 15, 105 and 15105. It is 3 times this function is called, and this will give you the outputs like 2, 3 and 5 respectively. The number of digits in these numbers are 2, 3 and 5. Now let's see how it is working. let's say the digits function is called with the value 105. That means n value is 105. Then it will return, it will go to the else part because n is not less than 10. That means n is not a single digit number. So it will go to the else part and it will return 1. Plus again the digits function will be called with the value n floor division 10. That means 105 floor division 10 will give you the value as 10. Now when that function is called, that means digits with the value 10 will be called. This recursive function will return 1 plus digits with the value 1. Okay, because 10 floor division 10 will give you the value 1. Now again digits function is called with the value 1. Then it will satisfy the base condition. That means n is less than 10. That means a single digit value. Now it will just return 1. So previously if you just add them, you'll get 1 plus 1 plus 1. The final return value is 3. So this is how recursive function works. Now write a recursive function that has a list parameter and find the maximum of the list. You can see the maximum is either the first value or the maximum of the rest of the list. That means if the list has one integer, then the maximum is this single value. So we will just implement this logic in our recursive function. So here we have defined a function called maximum, which is taking one list parameter. Let's say its name is lst. And we will just define the base case as it is mentioned in the question. That means if length of lst equal to 1, that means there is only one item in the list. Then it has to return that particular item. That means obviously it will be present at index number 0, so it has to return list of 0. That means whichever item is there at index number 0, that has to be returned. That particular element will be returned. Else it has to return max of lst0, comma, again the function maximum is called recursively, and this time your lst becomes one column. That means the list will become the list excluding the first item. So that means it will check. Here you can see the max function is called. As you know, max function takes some values and it will return the maximum of the values. So here max function is taking two values. First value is lst of 0. That means the first item in the list. And the second one is the maximum function called over there recursively. It is called with the list excluding the first element. That means whatever value is returned by this function and lst of 0. So these two will be compared and whichever is maximum, it has to return that value. So this is how it will work. Now let's define in the main part of the program. We will just declare one list with name L and having values, let's say 8, 9, 5, 3, 10 and 2. Then we will call the maximum function by passing this list. Then you can see the output is 10. It is printing the maximum number which is present in this list. So how it is working? First of all, maximum function is called with this list. This list is having values 8, 9, 5, 3, 10 and 2. Now it will check on the first if part. Then obviously this length of list is not 1. So it will go to the else part. So it will return what? Max of list is 0 and maximum function again called. So max of list is 0 is 8. So 8 comma maximum of the rest of the item in the list, that is 9, 5, 3, 10 and 2. So again, since we are calling maximum function, so it has to execute. So when this maximum function is executed with this list having values 9, 5, 3, 10 and 2, again it will return same max of 9 comma maximum of 5, 3, 10, 2. So earlier it was having value 8, then again 9 comma maximum of this value. Then again it will be called with this list 5, 3, 10, 2. This max function will have values 8, 9, 5 because 5 is the value which is at the initial position of the list. So max function will have lst of 0 comma maximum of the rest of the list. So max function will have values 8, 9, 5 and maximum of 3, 10, 2. Then maximum function is again called recursively with the values 10 and 2. and your return value will have max of 8, 9, 5 and 3. Then again to execute the else part, that is max of 8, 9, 5, 3, 10, and maximum function is called with the value 2. Now your base case is satisfied. Now your list is having only one value, that is 2. So it will just return that value, that is 2. Now all these values 8, 9, 5, 3, 10 and 2 are there in the max function, which is a max is actually a predefined function. So this will return, this will compare whichever is the maximum number among these numbers. So it will return the value as 10. Now here ends the solutions of practical book chapter 6 recursion, and we have discussed all the questions which are there in the practical book. And if there is any doubt, you can put it in comment section, and stay tuned for more solutions and do subscribe. Thank you.